Have you ever felt like your mind is overloaded? As if thousands of thoughts, worries, and stresses are piling up, making it impossible to find peace? In today's modern world, amid work, responsibilities, and the constant flood of information, keeping a clear mind is a real challenge. But what if I told you that over 2,000 years ago, there were people who faced similar crises, pressures, and stresses? And instead of letting life control them, they found a way to master their minds, keeping them calm and clear. These people not only survived chaos, but found steadfast inner peace. They were Stoic philosophers, masters of self-control, who passed down invaluable lessons to humanity. In this video, we'll explore the secrets of mastering the mind from two of the greatest Stoic teachers, Marcus Aurelius and Epictetus. Marcus Aurelius, a great Roman emperor, amidst wars and heavy responsibilities, managed to remain calm and resilient thanks to profound Stoic philosophies. Meanwhile, Epictetus, born a slave, became one of the most influential Stoic philosophers, teaching thousands how to face hardship without being crushed by it. So what was their secret? How did they keep their minds clear amidst the chaos? And more importantly, how can we, modern people, apply these principles to our own lives? Join me as we uncover these answers. You'll be amazed by the power of these philosophies. Secret 1. Your mind is what you think. Have you ever stopped to ask yourself, what is your mind filled with? And do those thoughts affect how you live and experience life? Marcus Aurelius, one of the greatest Stoic philosophers, once wrote, "Our life is what our thoughts make it." It sounds simple, but it's deeply profound. The way you think is the way you live. If you constantly fill your mind with worry and negativity, it's no surprise you feel stressed and pressured. But if you choose to focus on the positive, on gratitude, and on what you can control, your mind will lighten and you'll feel happier. Think of your mind like fertile soil. If you plant seeds of positive thoughts, you'll harvest joy and peace. But if you let it be overrun by anxiety, fear, and negativity, you're turning your mind into a battlefield. Epictetus, another Stoic philosopher, once said, "What disturbs us is not events, but how we think about them." It's our thoughts, not the outside world, that shape our emotions and actions. That means you can completely control your mind. Not by changing everything around you, but by adjusting how you think. So how do we cultivate positive thoughts? First, you need to recognize that what you think every day determines how you feel about life. Start your day by reflecting on what you're grateful for. Instead of letting your mind spiral into worry and stress from the moment you wake up, focus on the small things that bring you happiness. A good breakfast, a cup of fragrant coffee, or simply the fact that you've been given another day to live. And remember, changing your thoughts isn't a one-day process. It's a practice, an ongoing awareness of what you allow into your mind each day. You must control it instead of letting it control you. Because in the end, your life isn't about what happens to you, but how you think and react to it. Secret 2. The gatekeeper of your mind. Think of your mind as a fortress. Are you the one deciding who's allowed to enter? Epictetus, a well-known Stoic philosopher, once said, "Your mind is a fortress. No one can enter without your permission." What does this mean? It means you are the one who decides what is allowed to enter your mind. In today's world, we are bombarded by information, from social media, the news, to daily conversations. All of these can become sources of negativity if we don't control them. You scroll through social media and see images of people seemingly living perfect lives. That can make you feel inadequate, inferior. But if you let those negative thoughts take over, you're surrendering control over your mind. Imagine your mind as a large gate. Every day, countless thoughts and emotions try to enter. You can't block them all, but you can filter them. Decide which thoughts are allowed to step in. Will you let in negativity, anxiety, and fear? Or will you only allow thoughts that help you grow and bring you peace? To become the gatekeeper of your mind, you must practice mindfulness. This means you must always be aware of what you're absorbing, what information you allow to affect your emotions and thoughts. A simple example. when you're scrolling through social media, ask yourself, is this truly bringing something good to my mind, or is it just making me feel worse? And it doesn't stop there. You also need to be aware of the people around you. Some relationships bring joy and encouragement, but others can drag you into a whirlpool of negativity, insecurity, and anxiety. Don't hesitate to create distance from things and people that harm your mind. Remember, you are the one in control of your mind. No one can enter unless you open the door. And that is true power. Secret 3. Reality check. Have you ever considered that, at times, your mind may be deceiving you? The circumstances around you may not change, but the way you perceive them can make everything seem much worse than reality. This is why Marcus Aurelius and Epictetus encourage us to constantly check reality. Not everything you see, not every emotion you feel, is the absolute truth. Imagine you're standing in a desert. Far in the distance, you see a shimmering lake of cool, refreshing water. You feel relief, believing you've found the water you've been longing for. But as you get closer, you realize it's just a mirage. This situation is much like many moments in life. What we first see or feel may only be a distortion of reality. Epictetus said, "We are not troubled by events, but by the view we take of them." For example, you might receive a job offer with an attractive salary, but when you think more carefully, considering factors like work environment, hours, or the long-term value of the job, you may realize things aren't as perfect as they seem. Similarly, when you scroll through social media and see others living what appears to be perfect lives, have you ever questioned if that's the full truth? You may be seeing a mirage, only the surface of their life, while the reality, you can't truly know. That's why Marcus Aurelius always advised us to check our thoughts. Don't let yourself be carried away by emotions or what you only glimpse. So how do we check reality? First, learn to question your own thoughts. Whenever you feel anxious, jealous, or afraid about something, ask yourself, is this really true? Am I overreacting? Take time to analyze and view things from different angles, instead of relying solely on your initial emotions. Another example, when facing failure, such as having a project rejected or not achieving the success you expected, it's easy to think, I've completely failed. But is that the truth? Could this just be a temporary step, and in reality, you're moving closer to success that you haven't yet recognized? In the end, checking reality not only helps you see things more objectively, but also prevents you from making mistakes driven by emotion. When you learn to see through everything clearly, without being captivated by illusions, your mind will become calmer and more composed in any situation. Secret 4. The trap of ego. Success can be a double-edged sword. When we achieve certain milestones, it's easy to fall into the trap of our own ego. Have you ever felt too proud of your success, to the point where you began to forget the fundamental values that ground you? If you have, don't worry, you're not alone. Marcus Aurelius, a great emperor of Rome, often had to remind himself, even as an emperor, you are still just a human being. Even though Marcus Aurelius was the most powerful man of his time, he constantly reminded himself of humility and responsibility. He knew that ego, pride, and self-satisfaction could easily deceive people, making them forget their true nature. This is just as relevant today. Success can make us forget humility, making us think we're better than others, that we don't need to learn anymore. But when this happens, we're losing ourselves. Epictetus also said, "A wise person never stops learning." Arrogance will stop you from receiving new lessons, from hearing different perspectives. And when you start believing that you know it all, that's the moment you stop growing. So how do we avoid the trap of ego? First, remember that success isn't the final destination. Every achievement is only part of the longer journey of life. Always stay humble, knowing that your accomplishments are not everything. Secondly, learn to listen to others, not just to argue or defend your own point of view, but to learn. Doing this will help you keep growing and ensure that your ego stays in check. Remember, a truly strong and wise person is not the one who becomes arrogant with success, but the one who remains humble and willing to learn. When you can control your ego, you will maintain clarity and calmness in the face of any challenge. Don't let success turn you into someone unfamiliar to yourself. Secret 5. The know-it-all trap. Have you ever met someone who always tries to act like they know everything? They seem to have a response to every issue, but if you dig a little deeper, you realize they don't truly understand the topic. This is the know-it-all trap, and it can hold you back from learning and growth. Epictetus once taught that true wisdom doesn't come from knowing everything, but from realizing that you don't know everything. Admitting that you have limits in your knowledge and that there's always more to learn is the hallmark of wisdom. Yet in life, sometimes we hide our lack of understanding by pretending to know everything. We're afraid of admitting that we don't know, fearing judgment, and in doing so, we become trapped by our own lack of humility. Take a moment to think. How many times have you avoided asking questions when you didn't understand something just because you were afraid of being judged? How often have you given an opinion when you weren't entirely sure, just to avoid admitting uncertainty? This not only stops you from learning, but also harms your development. Because only when you acknowledge that you don't know enough can you open the door to new knowledge and perspectives. So how can we avoid the know-it-all trap? First, practice humility. Whenever you encounter something you don't fully understand, don't be afraid to ask. Don't be afraid to say, "I'm not sure about this." Asking questions doesn't make you weak, it makes you someone who is continuously learning. Second, listen. Listen to others, not just to respond or defend your point, but to understand. Everyone you meet has something to teach you, even if it's something small. Like Epictetus said, the wise person isn't the one who knows everything, but the one who knows how to learn from everyone. When you let go of pretending to know it all and open yourself up to learning, you'll be amazed at what you can absorb. Remember, acknowledging your ignorance isn't a sign of weakness, but the beginning of true wisdom. Secret 6. The inner circle of control. Have you ever felt like you're trying to control too many things in your life, only to end up feeling exhausted? There are times when we worry about everything, from work, relationships, to things that in reality we can't change, and that tires us out. But Epictetus, a Stoic philosopher, gave us a very important piece of advice. Focus only on what you can control. Imagine your life as a large circle. At the center of that circle are the things you can completely control. Your thoughts, your actions, and your reactions. This is your inner circle of control, where you have the power to decide everything. But outside the edges of that circle are countless things that you can't control. How others behave, the weather, or unexpected events in life. And when you try to control those things outside your circle, you're just adding unnecessary pressure and stress to yourself. Epictetus taught that if you focus on what's within your control, your thoughts, your reactions, and the actions you take, you'll feel stronger and calmer. That's because these things are within your reach. But when you focus on things you can't control, like the thoughts or actions of others, you'll quickly feel frustrated and lost. So instead of wasting time and energy worrying about what you can't change, focus on yourself. You can't control how others feel about you, but you can control how you behave. You can't stop the rain from falling, but you can choose to bring an umbrella. And most importantly, you can choose how you respond to every situation. Ask yourself, how much time am I spending worrying about things beyond my control? And can I shift that energy towards improving what I can control? When you focus on your inner circle, your life will become lighter, calmer, and stronger. Remember, true power comes from controlling yourself, not the world around you. Secret 7. Living in the present. Have you ever noticed that you often live more in the past or worry about the future, rather than living in the present? There are moments when we get stuck in what has already happened or become consumed by anxiety over what's yet to come. The result is, we completely miss the precious moments happening right in front of us. Marcus Aurelius often reminded himself, Do not let yourself be distracted by what has passed or what is to come. The only moment you truly have is the present. This advice isn't just for philosophers, but for all of us, modern people constantly racing against time. We get so caught up in our long-term plans and goals that we sometimes forget that happiness isn't something far off in the future. It's found right here, in the present moment. Think about the times when you've enjoyed a meal, but instead of focusing on its taste, your mind wandered to other worries. Or those times when you were sitting with family, but your thoughts were preoccupied with tomorrow's work. This kind of distraction robs you of the joy that these moments could bring. So, how do we live fully in the present? First, practice mindfulness. It's simple. For example, when you're doing something, eating, walking, or even listening to someone, focus entirely on that activity. Don't let your mind be pulled away by the past or the future. Just concentrate on what's happening right now, and you'll find that life becomes more vivid, more meaningful. Second, connect with your senses. Sometimes the easiest way to live in the present is to experience the world through your senses. Savor the flavor of your food, feel the breeze on your skin, or listen to the birds singing in the morning. These small things, if you pay attention to them, will bring you instant peace and relaxation. Finally, remember, the present is all we truly have. You can't change the past, and the future hasn't arrived yet. But the present, this is the moment you can control. The moment you can enjoy and experience fully. Live in the present, and you'll find the peace and happiness you've been searching for. Secret 8. The illusion of the senses. Sometimes, our senses aren't always reliable. What you see, hear, or feel at first might not accurately reflect reality. Have you ever looked at something only to realize later that you completely misunderstood it? This is when our senses create illusions that trick the mind. Epictetus, the Stoic philosopher, said, "We cannot control what the senses perceive, but we can control how we respond to what we perceive." Our senses may easily pull us into unnecessary situations, but when you know how to control your thoughts, you won't be so easily deceived by sensory illusions. Consider a time when you saw a beautiful image on social media, someone living a seemingly perfect life. At first, you might feel envy, wondering why your life doesn't look like theirs. But if you stop and think more deeply, you'll realize that this is just a snapshot, a curated moment in their life, not the full reality. Your senses only pick up on the surface, but there's so much more that you can't see. So, how can we avoid being deceived by our senses? First, always remember that what you perceive initially is not always the full truth. Continuously question your senses. Am I reacting too quickly? Am I only seeing the surface of things? Second, use reason to examine your perceptions. Epictetus advised us to take time to think and analyze, rather than rushing to judgment. Don't let impulsive emotions cloud your thinking. For instance, if someone criticizes you or does something that makes you angry, instead of reacting immediately, take a step back and ask yourself, am I understanding this situation correctly? When you practice this, you'll find yourself calmer and your senses won't deceive you so easily. Our senses are valuable tools, but they're not always trustworthy. When you learn how to control your thoughts and use reason to analyze, you won't be so easily swayed by the illusions that the senses create. Always stay mindful and question what you perceive, to keep your mind clear and steady. Secret 9. The focus formula. In today's world, do you ever feel like your mind is being pulled in every direction? Every day you face a barrage of tasks, notifications from your phone, social media, and the people around you. It's as if everything is fighting for your attention, and as a result, you feel exhausted, lost, and unable to focus on anything truly important. Epictetus once said, "The strength of the mind lies in the ability to focus on what matters most." And that still rings true for us today. When you learn how to focus on what's truly important, you'll find that you can achieve more, be more effective, and feel less burdened. But to do this, you need a formula, a clear strategy to maintain focus. First, be ruthless with your priorities. Every day, ask yourself, what is the most important thing today? Prioritizing is crucial to ensure you don't get lost in a sea of meaningless tasks. Instead of jumping from one task to another without accomplishing anything, pour all your energy into the things that truly bring value. Next, eliminate distractions. We can't deny that our environment plays a big role in how focused we are. So create a quiet workspace, keep your phone or other distractions away. It may sound simple, but this is one of the most important steps to help your mind stay focused. Finally, manage your time effectively. A simple yet effective method is to break your time into short bursts of focused work, followed by breaks. For example, you can use the Pomodoro technique. Focus for 25 minutes, then take a 5-minute break. This way, you'll maintain focus without overloading your mind. When you apply this focus formula, you'll be surprised by how much you can accomplish, and more importantly, you'll feel less stressed. Your mind will sharpen, no longer scattered by external forces, but fully under your control. Remember, true strength doesn't come from doing many things at once, but from focusing on what matters most. When you learn to master your focus, you will master your time, your energy, and your life. Secret 10. The power of restraint. In today's fast-paced world, everything moves too quickly, and we often feel swept up in the endless cycle of work, responsibilities, and temptations. Have you ever felt like you're chasing after things that don't really matter, running after things that don't bring long-term value, only to realize later you've wasted too much time and energy on things that don't really mean anything? Marcus Aurelius, one of the greatest Stoic philosophers, once said, "Simplify your life. Keep only what is truly important." This philosophy is the power of restraint, the ability to control yourself and focus only on what truly has meaning, instead of being pulled by short-term temptations. Think about it. How many times have you spent hours scrolling through social media, only to realize later that it was a complete waste of time? Or, how often have you invested energy into pointless arguments when you could have just stayed quiet and kept your peace? These are the moments when you need the power of restraint, the power to say no to what's unnecessary and focus on what truly matters. Restraint doesn't mean living a dull life. It actually brings true freedom. When you learn to control your desires, to say no to distractions, you'll have time and energy to invest in things that matter. Remember, quality over quantity. Doing fewer things but focusing on what's important will bring you much better results than trying to do everything without clear direction. So instead of trying to do too many things at once, focus on quality. Train your restraint. Learn to prioritize what's truly valuable in your life. And when you master restraint, not only will you feel freer, but you'll also achieve sustainable peace and success. So, we've journeyed together through the profound principles of Stoicism, lessons from Marcus Aurelius and Epictetus, who lived over 2,000 years ago, but whose teachings still guide us in how to face modern life. Whether it's mastering your thoughts, keeping your mind clear, or focusing on what you can control, all of these help us lead a life of resilience, peace, and purpose. What's the most important takeaway from Stoicism? It's the ability to master yourself, not by trying to control everything around you, but by controlling your mind and your reactions to life's ups and downs. You might not be able to change your circumstances, but you can always change how you see and respond to them. And that's how you'll find peace, no matter how tough life gets. Remember, life isn't about what happens to us, but how we respond to it. From lessons about controlling your ego, exercising restraint, living in the present, and focusing on what matters, these are the tools that help you become the strongest and best version of yourself. Now you hold the wisdom to apply these philosophies to every moment in your life, helping you overcome challenges with grace. The only thing left to do is act. Start implementing these principles into your daily life, from the smallest tasks. Once you begin to live by the Stoic mindset, you'll not only notice a change in yourself, but also in how you interact with the world around you. Life is a long journey, and no path is perfect, but with a wise mind, you'll walk that journey with more strength and clarity. Let Marcus Aurelius and Epictetus be your companions on this path. Starting today, live strongly, live wisely, and live the life you want to create.